There you go. What's happening?
Zen.
Shit. I was just commenting to something that G7 Tiger just said about the Bimmy situation. Have you seen the Spoon? If y'all don't know, I interviewed Spoon on Vlad TV. I think it was last year. Um, Spoon was Fat Cat's lieutenant, and he is a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, stuff like that. So him and Preem been working on Preem's documentary for the last couple of years. And in fact, Preem called while we were on the set about to do his interview, uh, Spoon's interview. And they said they was gonna blow some shit up, blew some shit up. Bimmy's blown. I mean, there was a lot of speculation amongst people who didn't know. All of us, we've all seen the paperwork, long, 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 long time ago. Like niggas been knew that Bimmy wasn't right. I never met the dude. Like when I was running around in Queens back in '84. I never, I guess he was a kid. You know, I didn't run with kids. I didn't interact with kids. I'll get interacting with adults. So. But I've known since I don't know, probably 20 years that he wasn't right. And yeah, his shit is blown the fuck up. What up, Trey? Trey Oxen D, they fucked him up. Curvy Kayla, what's happening? It's been a while. Dogface, what's up, Dogface? I bet Dogface he probably been going in about that joint. You know what I mean? He probably been going in about the Bimmy situation or whatever. Hold on a second, I'm gonna take this orange to wifey. But yeah, like, yo, bro, this internet shit is something else. Like I was just talking to my man about how orange. I was just talking to my man about how the internet will wear your ass out, if you're not somebody who got your wits about you. You know what I mean? Like you got to realize the internet is largely a collective of faceless, nameless, reputationless people who never actually achieved much of anything. That's the majority of the internet because that's the majority of people. So they are very, very quick to jump on anything that disparages, demeans, or diminishes another human being, especially someone who's revered and respected, because they'll never be that. They've never been that, and they'll never be that. So they are quick to jump on a bandwagon that it don't matter which way or the other. You know how many, like the fact that Bimmy's been outed as having been a government informant for 40 years, and that doesn't mean that he's been actively telling on people for 40 years. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It's just mean like 40 years ago, he definitely, like Preem said on his case, he definitely gave, he provided information um, on his case. Preem said that outright. All right. And I mean that's a thing that actually happened. Motherfuckers get really worn out on the internet with shit that they didn't even do. So a motherfucker got proof of you doing some shit, some dishonorable shit. Like I can just imagine what the
Especially
people
when
who
you kicking
support
it like
him.
you super gangster and you that nigga and you
Yes,
solid and
yes,
you real.
yes,
The whole time you fronting. Like it makes it even worse. One thing
yes,
when
man.
you
You
wasn't
buried
fronting, but
yourself.
it's when you perpetrated, it makes it even worse.
Yeah, he
You
buried
never,
himself.
if a nigga never stood on you might have had some space to exist, but standing on that, it be a Like, nigga, you standing on water. What the fuck are you doing? Like, this shit
Right.
ain't nothing.
That's right. That's right. Tri-State Hustler, NYC. He said, Bimmy been collecting hella W-2s being a government employee all these years, big bro. Like Max Smith, 1977, what's happening? You know, the thing is, a person can make a statement like that, right? And, you know, it it's kind of like jokey, but people will take that to mean exactly that. People like to run with shit, you know? Like when something is what it is, I don't think there's any need to put anything on it, right? So, dude definitely told on the case with homie, with Preem, you know, back in the days. He definitely, absolutely, positively did that. I don't know what other cases he may or may not have um, provided, you know, information on. I don't know. But somebody makes a statement like the one Tri-State Hustler made, and people don't care whether that's accurate or not. And this is not to
Attack
like
what he just
attack what you said,
point
because
out
I don't know
people.
that he hasn't been, right? But just to say that, man, like you said, point out the fact that when people say shit on the internet,
Don't let it be clever. Oh, it's going. It's
and
clever. It
people want
sound factual. Sound like it could be actual true. Oh God, it's just gonna roll off people's tongue. It's their fact to move around and say to other people and impose on other people in conversation.
that's a fact. People like to undermine other people, you know, whether they have good cause or not. Like, you know, anybody who betrays their comrades, anybody who betrays something that they claim to have loyalty to or fealty to, you know, when you're in the game, there is a unstated or stated contract, not just to your crew, but to the game itself. You're expected to, and it is required of you to take the good with the bad. So if you're not complaining when the money coming, you can't complain when the money stop. You can't complain when the tide turns against you. That's just what it is. You know, Bump and I was talking earlier about it, right? Because I sent Bump the clip that's floating around on the internet. They're gonna pardon my eating, man. I haven't eaten anything today at all. I've been out in the in the you know doing the farming thing all damn day until just like 40 minutes ago. But you know, we talked about how there is no justification for telling. Like 6ix9ine said, he told because Cat said he was facilitating opportunity, money, significance, because them dudes were insignificant prior to having any association with him. With him, they were insignificant. They didn't matter anywhere to anybody. And they turned around and tried to, you know, they were basically killing the golden goose, the goose who laid the golden eggs, right?
Taking his
Screwing his
money,
girl,
mashing this girl behind the back.
tapping him, shit like that, right? And he said that's why he told. But he told because he's the kind of person who would rather not deal with the consequences of his action. That's all. It's no more complicated than that. he can tell himself or other people that it has something to do with something personal or some type of violation or whatever. But no, it just comes down to you're the kind of person that will do whatever they can do to avoid dealing with consequences. That's all. That's all it is. You're a coward. It's a coward. You know, um, my man, who's my dear brother from Sex, Money, and Murder, right? He was the one who brought in the, you know, all the girl. Like he was, you know, it was his responsibility that, you know, the keys came in on the girl side, and it was, you know, the other homie's responsibility. And I'm not saying neither of their names because they both went bad. One went bad in the situation, and the other went bad, as far as we know, after the situation. Like not as part of, you know, our sex money thing. And when homie, the first homie that went bad within our situation, when he went bad, prior to going bad, he said that the homie who kind of brought the bullshit into our situation, he he was saying that the first home, I gotta say their names. Y'all won't be able to follow the story. For educational purposes, it is what it is. You know. So my man John Castro, right, who I loved dearly, and I don't not love, you know, today because he's, you know, he's a great friend, a true friend, you know, and he has to deal with what he did. He has to live with what he did, you know. But when Yarrow told and started working with them people, Yarrow told the people that he had done, that John had done things that Yarrow had done, that John had hit people that Yarrow had hit.
Remember that? I remember that.
You know, right?
Yeah.
So so John says to us on and says to us, yo, this nigga putting this on me. He said I did that. He putting that work on me. He putting that work on me. And what I'm supposed to do? Just sit here and let him just do that?
He wanted to
And we
snitch
were
back. He
he
wanted
wanted to
to
snitch back. It was
snitch back,
like,
nigga.
no,
And I'm gonna
no,
tell him
no,
other shit you actually did too, nigga.
no. We was like, nah, bro. Like, no, yes, that's what that's what lawyers are for. Remember when I used to tell him, yo, you doing too much, you know, you do too much profiling, the cars and all. Every time you show up, you got a new damn car. Like, yo, bro, you gotta chill out, whatever. You know what I mean? You're going to create problems. And he used to say to me, that's what lawyers is for, bro. I was like, bro, you know, the first thing they come for is the money, right? Before they come for your body, they come for the money. So you can't defend yourself. That's a basic tactic of war, like I've shared with you guys before. Before they come for the leaders, they go for the structure that supports the leaders. So they're going to come for the money first. So they're going to go for stash houses. That's why they turn niggas. So they can get access to where's the money? Where's the money coming from? You know, who's producing the most? Let's bust them. You know, where's the stash at? You know, let's get the stash. Let's hit the stashes. Niggas don't know that they will wait for niggas to leave a stash house and no niggas is in there. They'll wait for them to leave the stash house so they can hit the stash house and, you know, take money and take work, although money and work ain't supposed to be in the same place at all. That's rule two, you know. Um, well, that's actually rule four. Rule one, two, and three is bear no witness. But they did that like they did that with Meech and them. They ran in the house like minutes after dudes left. Minutes. I said, there's no way in the world. They just happened to pull up minutes later. They ran up in the house. They waited for niggas to leave so they could go in there and fingerprint and try to see who they can identify. And, you know, like, that's what they do. See, they got all day. You can make one mistake. They can make 1,000 mistakes. They only need to get it right once. So, you know, when John was saying, I want to tell back on him, or not saying I want to tell back on him, but saying, am I supposed to just sit here and take this while he drops all this shit in my lap? He was like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what lawyers are for. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to sit there, keep your mouth shut, and strategize with your lawyer. That's it. And accept that there's a possibility that you will be going to prison. You know what I mean? And, you know, won't be for work because, you know, he was a corrections officer for 10 years. One of the biggest, you know, coke connects in New York for a while. And he was a corrections officer at the same time. You know what I mean? And some people might say, well, if he was a corrections officer, y'all should have known that he was going to tell. But nah, that's not necessarily so at all. You know what I mean? But, you know, I think the point that I was making is that there is no justification for telling. Not, you know, he killed my brother, he raped my sister, you know, he killed my mother. None of that. None of that. He told on me. None of that. I was going to kill him anyway, so I might as well tell him. No, no. I was taught you meet your enemy on the battlefield. You take his head there. But you don't play no police games. The streets ain't easy, bro. Ain't nothing easy or fair about the streets. That's why people with those kinds of ideas don't belong in the streets. And people like with those kinds of ideas are regular, everyday people. A great many of which come from the hood. But they're raised with regular, everyday people mindsets, and they try to get in the street. It don't mix. It don't mix. And the more that happened, the more of this type of shit you saw. But as you can see, it ain't nothing new. It's not new. It's just more common. It's not new at all. So dude been down with them people. I don't know if it's been a continuous relationship to my Bimmy, but he was working with them 40 years ago, bro. You know?
Long time.
Yeah. Now, whether what Tri-State Hustler was saying in terms of like him getting a check, I think he was mostly kind of just being funny, you know, about him, you know, him getting a check, getting checks from them for 40 years or whatever. I doubt that.
But
But
also,
then
people
again,
would want to look into the circles of people that he's been around and what's happened in those circles. Have people gotten popped in the circles that he's been frequently involved in? And if
I mean,
they randomly getting popped, they not to say he is the reason, but one time it happened, it's like okay. 6 times it happened, it's like nah, this is not a coincidence.
well, the thing is, like my fucking earphone. Yo, somebody send me some headphones, man. Some good headphones, bro. That's for real. One of you ardent supporters of mine, send me some good damn headphones, bro. Because every time I get a pair of headphones, um, I don't know, bro. I don't think I'm that rough, but it's just be breaking like nothing, like nothing. But you know, if I don't know, bro. I don't know. You know, if you were telling type of dude, you're gonna tell on anybody. You know, they ain't gonna matter. You know what I mean? How close they are, what they are, how scary they are. It doesn't matter. You're gonna tell. You're gonna tell anyway. You know. And I think a lot of dudes don't know they're gonna tell. A lot of them don't know it until they're faced with like consequences that they didn't consider. You know. Um, I don't know if that's the point I was gonna make. My headphone fell off. But when when this Bimmy thing, hit the airwaves, uh, I'm sure that there were a lot of people who he dealt with over the years that probably had their own issues that would have led to them getting popped anyway. But now they're probably thinking, oh yeah, it wasn't the fact that I was doing transactions with any and everybody and didn't know who was just being greedy and reckless. It was Bimmy. He must have told on me. Some of you niggas is just stupid.
Oh, but they not smart enough to not put that on him though. It
Right.
sounds better than I'm stupid. Nah, that nigga
Yeah.
ratted on me too.
I mean, but you got a whole culture that's on that type of shit. Like with people talking about Vlad is the
Police.
feds, as they like to say. Oh, he's the feds, he's the police, whatever. First of all, most of you the 99% of you motherfuckers that consume that kind of content, watch his shit, whatever. You've never had any dealings or interactions with the feds or the police in your life. So you don't really know. I'm not talking about your local cop, you know what I mean, that popped you for smoking a joint or having an open container or jumping a turnstile or, with a, what is another one niggas get busted for? Loitering and uh, disorderly conduct. I'm not talking about that. I'm not even talking about the motherfuckers who got caught carrying a gun they would never use. I'm not talking about that. Those aren't real interactions. That's pedestrian shit. I'm talking about having real interactions with law enforcement motherfuckers who hunt niggas for a living. They hunt like real hardcore dedicated criminals. You motherfuckers have never had cause or reason to have any kind of interaction with anybody like that, or anybody who would be someone who would be on the radar of people like that. Most of y'all think you know things that you don't know because you watch a lot of television. A lot. That's why y'all think, there's these super smart cops and all that, whatever, like on TV. There are some cops, there are some smart people who became cops. But for the most part, no, they're not a group of geniuses by a long shot. Not like you see on TV where everybody's such a detective and all type of shit, whatever. If it wasn't for niggas telling, a lot of fucking crimes would never, ever, ever, ever be solved. That's a fact. But a lot of people, a lot of you pedestrians, y'all think that y'all y'all know what it is to interact with cops or what cop interactions are like or fed or major crime you know uh, interactions are like. And you don't have a clue. You don't have a
Like
clue at all.
when Thug was like, nigga, I'm flexing them, I'm swapping them out. I told her I'm gonna give her information, but I ain't really gonna give her information. I'm just flirting. It's
TV.
like
That's a nigga that was raised by TV. Like most of these knucklehead ass niggas that's raised by TV. And TV was created and proliferated and made available and affordable to everybody. I remember when most people didn't have a television. When I was a kid, most people didn't have a television in their house. And if they did, they only had one. And if they had that one, it was black and white and small as a motherfucker. This is a fact. They made them shits available and accessible to more and more people because it's one of the major tools of propaganda and um, social engineering, you know, psychosocial engineering. It's the way to create a broad misconception, to have a bunch of people misbelieving the same thing. Like, for instance, um, you know, thinking that everybody that commits a crime gets caught because you see that on TV. Crime gets committed no matter how sophisticated it is. By the end of that 40-minute show, because with the breaks, 20 minutes of commercials. So by the end of that 40-minute show, Columbo or Barney B. Jones or Cannon or Mannix
Columbo.
have solved it.
You old as shit, son.
Niggas is like, what? Who? What? What?
Columbo.
Who? Who's that? What?
SVU. You gotta say Mariska Hargit. SVU. The
Dun,
whatever their
dun.
name is. Benson and other one and shit.
But all of those came from the ones I'm talking about. And the shows I'm talking about,
Ice-T.
those cops were very, very, very sharp, especially Columbo. Like, you could forget about it. Like, you weren't gonna, no matter how sophisticated your crime or your criminality, you weren't gonna get away with it
But
because he
that's
figured.
also the
But they
funny
grew
thing.
up with that.
Ice-T is playing a cop now. That's funny in itself. Like
That
his
is.
background, and now he
That
playing
is. That
cop on
is.
TV,
Yeah, that
and it's
is.
like
That.
one
Yeah.
of his biggest, most iconic roles. And he probably gonna be on that show until he's just retires from
Yeah,
acting.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure because he looks like an old white man now. That's what it is with people who are half white, half black, whatever. The older they get, the more like they get old and they look more and more like a white person. Tracy, Tracy, shout out to Tracy. What up, homie? But yeah, you look more like a old. So by the time that show ends, it's gonna be like I remember when Ice-T used to be on this show. That is Ice-T right there. That's Ice-T. Oh, the old white dude? Yeah, that's Ice-T. I thought he was just cool because he talked like that. He talk like he cool and shit like that or whatever. Like he thought he was a cool
We
old
going
white dude.
down to
But
the
no,
cleaner.
no. Yeah. But no, it's Ice-T. But yeah, man, the guy is like, this is driving me nuts. So the guy is cooked, he's cooked, bro. He can't wiggle his way out of this one. He can't uh excuse it away. You know what I mean? He can't make it out. He can't make it go away. His whole world has changed. Not just his immediate world, but his image. Because obviously there are way more people who talk about him that don't know him than there are that do know him. So he really relies on the larger group because the people that know him, he been cooked a long time ago with the people that know him. So his whole existence is really predicated on being able to keep a favorable image in the eyes of the majority that doesn't know him. That's now, you know, disenabled. He can't do that anymore. I don't know what that leads him with. That means anybody who's associated with him, anybody who considers himself like you got a lot of people who think, that they gangster by proximity to this guy who they think is gangster. And one thing is, I know everybody that know Bimmy. You know what I mean? And one thing that has never been mistaken about Bimmy is that he's a gangster. That has never been mistaken about him. He was a kid who was around, hustling, whatever, this and the other, around gangsters, whatever. But there's never been, in fact, nobody I know that knows him has ever known him for having a gun. And it's kind of like, a tool. It doesn't obviously make you a gangster, of course, but as a gangster, guns are kind of prerequisite. And nobody I know that knew him and was around him back when they were running around out there um, knows him for even having a gun. Like, for real. Like, niggas have told me, like, I never knew nigga even have a gun. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you're not a hustler, you know? But he's cooked in terms of his reputation and shit like that. He's fucking cooked. He's cooked. And I don't know exactly what his financial situation is predicated on. It's predicated on him being able to leverage his association with the Supreme Team